Russian formalism was a highly influential school of literary criticism and theory that emerged in Russia around 1915 and flourished until the late 1920s. Rather than looking at a story's historical context, social message, or the author's biography, formalists focused on the literariness of a text, the specific artistic devices that distinguish literature from everyday speech. Core tenets and key concepts. The formalists treated literature as a specialized use of language. They aimed to turn literary criticism into an objective science. 1. Defamiliarization, ostranenie. Coined by Viktor Shklovsky, this is perhaps the movement's most famous concept. Shklovsky argued that over time, our perception of the world becomes habitual and automatic. Art exists to make the stone stony again. The goal: to make the familiar seem strange or new, forcing the reader to slow down and truly perceive the art rather than just recognizing it. The method: using metaphors, unusual perspectives, or complex language to disrupt the reader's autopilot. 2. Fabula versus sujet. The formalists made a critical distinction between the raw material of a story and how it is organized. Fabula, story. The chronological sequence of events as they would have happened in real life. Sujet, plot. The artistic arrangement of those events within the book, e.g., starting in the middle, using flashbacks or repeating scenes. Formalists argued that the sujet is what makes a text literary, as the author deliberately manipulates time and perspective to achieve an aesthetic effect. 3. The autonomy of literature. Formalists rejected the idea that literature is a mirror of society. They believed that literary forms evolve according to their own internal logic. A new style doesn't emerge because of a political revolution, but because the old style has become too familiar and lost its power to defamiliarize. Key figures and groups. Russian formalism was driven primarily by two intellectual circles. 1. OPOYAZ, Society for the Study of Poetic Language, based in St. Petersburg, featuring figures like Viktor Shklovsky, Boris Eichenbaum, and Yuri Tynyanov. They focused heavily on prose and literary technology. 2. The Moscow Linguistic Circle, led by Roman Jakobson E. This group focused more on linguistics, phonology, and the structure of verse. The legacy of the movement. By the early 1930s, the Soviet government suppressed formalism in favor of socialist realism, which demanded that art serve the state's ideological goals. However, the movement's ideas survived and evolved. Prague structuralism. Roman Jakobson moved to Prague, influencing the next generation of structuralist thinkers. New criticism. Many formalist ideas mirrored the American New Criticism of the mid-20th century, which also advocated for close reading of the text itself. Modern narratology. The fabula/sujet distinction remains the foundation for how we analyze movies and novels today.